story starts with Sister Paxton and Sister Barnes, two Mormon missionaries sitting on a bench. Their conversation starts with an unexpected topic: contraception and Magnum condoms. Sister Paxton claims they're the same size as regular ones. It's just marketing. Sister Barnes counters, saying she's heard they're actually bigger. The conversation shifts when Sister Paxton asks, "How has God shown you the church is true?" Sister Barnes admits she hasn't thought much about it. The two missionaries head into town to visit people who had signed up to learn more about their faith. As they walk through the streets, most people ignore them. Then, a group of girls approaches, pretending to be friendly. They ask for a picture but then pull a mean prank. One of the girls pulls down Sister Paxton's skirt, exposing the special undergarments Mormons wear. It's embarrassing, and Paxton is left wiping away tears as they continue on their way. At the next house, the women park their bikes and lock them to a fence. Paxton is still upset, while Barnes appears more composed. This moment highlights that Paxton is the naiver and more sensitive one, while Barnes is confident and experienced, having converted others before. Paxton has yet to do so. The door opens, and Mr. Reed greets them and invites them inside, saying his wife is baking a pie. The women hesitate, because they're not allowed to be in a house without another woman present. But they agree, and hand over their jackets when he insists his wife is home. As they sit down, Reed casually mentions his house has metal walls and ceilings. The women don't mind, but everything he says feels like a test, as will become clearer later. Reed leaves to check on his wife. While waiting, Barnes notices a butterfly at a small hexagon-shaped window. It flutters away toward a light bulb on the ceiling and starts bumping against the lampshade, a symbol of being drawn to a false light, much like the women might be. When Reed returns, the conversation takes a deeper turn. It is told that Paxton was born into the Mormon faith, while Barnes joined after her mother converted following her father's death. Barnes says they explored several religions before choosing Mormonism. This resonates with Reed, who mentions his own search for the one true religion. Reed seems surprisingly knowledgeable about Mormonism and other religions. Instead of letting the women teach him, he starts questioning their beliefs. Reed asks Barnes if she's ever seen a sign from her deceased father. She says no, and Reed finds this odd. His gaze briefly lingers on a scar on her upper arm. Both these details are important, but will make sense later. Paxton shares a personal thought. "When I die, I'll come back as a butterfly. I'll land on my loved one's hands so they'll know it's me." Suddenly, the lights go out. Reed explains it's just a quirk of the house. When the lights come back on, the conversation resumes. Reed offers them Coca-Cola instead of water, pointing out their religion avoids caffeine and alcohol. Barnes explains soda isn't specifically forbidden, though she declines the drink, saying they're not thirsty. It's clear Reed deliberately chose Coke as another subtle test. The mood shifts as Reed brings up polygamy, a controversial part of Mormon history. He criticizes how the church once allowed it, suggesting it was invented to justify an affair by the church's founder. The topic makes Barnes uncomfortable, and the conversation becomes tense. She ends it by saying, "We'll discuss this with our bishop and get back to you," signaling they're ready to leave. As Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton prepare to leave, Mr. Reed quickly interrupts them. "What's your favorite food?" he asks, breaking the flow of their exit. The women, caught off guard, answer, saying they like Wendy's the best, but never talk about Taco Bell. Mr. Reed smiles and says he's looking for the Wendy's of religions, the best one. But his search only taught him that the more you know, the less you understand. He studied religions and found that every faith claims to be the one true way, but none hold up when examined closely. Now, he says he's discovered the one true religion, and his tone grows darker. The women, sensing something is off, ask to meet his wife. Mr. Reed agrees and leaves the room. Before he goes, he flips the light switch, and the lights turn on again with the same ticking sound from earlier, signaling the timer has restarted. The sisters grow increasingly uneasy. They try to wrap up their visit, but then Barnes notices something strange. The candle on the table smells like blueberry pie, the same pie Mr. Reed claimed his wife was baking. There's no pie, and there might not even be a wife. When Mr. Reed returns, he says his wife is ready to see them and leads them toward a dark hallway. Barnes pretends to get a phone call and says they need a moment. Once he's gone, the sisters look for a way out. The front door is locked, and their phones have no signal. They're trapped. The lights go out again as the timer runs down, leaving them no choice but to follow Mr. Reed. They find him in a study or library, filled with books and old furniture. They try to politely excuse themselves, but when Barnes picks up her jacket, she realizes her bike key is missing. Paxton checks her pocket and finds it there, though she knows it wasn't before. This means Mr. Reed went through their belongings and accidentally switched the keys, or did he do it on purpose? Reed confronts them. "You didn't make a phone call," he says, revealing that the metal walls block phone signal. He says, "You don't need to make excuses to leave. You can go any time." The women again ask to meet his wife. Reed pretends to leave, but quickly turns back. "Do you still believe my wife is in the next room, despite all the evidence?" he asks, his voice sharp. He ties this to faith. "Do you believe in God simply because you were told to, even when you've seen things that contradict it?" Reed explains that the scented candle was a test. "I wanted you to question what you believe just because someone told you to believe it." Barnes has had enough. "We're leaving," she says, opening a side door. But what she sees makes her freeze. She opens another door and finds stairs leading down to a basement. Reed, now fully in control, offers to help. He writes, "Belief" on one door and "disbelief" on the other. "If you still believe in your God, go through the belief door. If not, go through the disbelief door," he challenges. Paxton, trying to outsmart him, suggests they pick the disbelief door. "Oh, you're so clever, Mr. Reed. You've convinced us," she says sarcastically, hoping to defuse the situation. But Barnes stops her. "The only thing that matters is what we truly believe," she says. Barnes argues with Reed, pointing out flaws in his reasoning. She explains that faith isn't black and white. It's a spectrum. Turning to Paxton, she says, "Do you believe in God? Let's be honest with ourselves. If we believe, we go through the belief door and let God decide what happens next." The sisters reluctantly enter the basement, where it becomes clear that both doors led to the same place. Mr. Reed's test was just another way to manipulate them. Downstairs, they search for an escape, pulling at a window and prying loose a wooden plank with nails. Desperate, Barnes hands Paxton a letter opener she swiped earlier, instructing her to attack Reed if she says the code word, "magic underwear." Paxton is chosen because Reed watches Barnes too closely. Then things take a darker turn. A frail woman in robes shuffles into the room, carrying a lantern and a pie. She sets the pie down, stretches unnervingly, and collapses to the floor. Meanwhile, Reed, upstairs, meticulously logs the sequence of events. Speaking through a pipe, he tells the sisters they're about to witness a miracle. The woman will eat the poisoned pie, die, and then come back to life. The woman eats the pie, collapses, and dies. Reed instructs the sisters to check her pulse, confirming her death. A bell rings, interrupting the ritual. A man from their church has come looking for the missing missionaries. As the sisters try to signal him, Reed lies, saying no one is there. The man leaves, and the sisters return to the basement with stolen matches, desperate for a way out. While Barnes focuses on lighting the matches to signal for help, Paxton notices something horrifying. The girl has moved. However, Barnes says you are just imagining it. Before she can react, the resurrected woman looms over her, delivering a chilling monologue. She describes her afterlife as clouds, not angels, before cryptically stating, "It's not real." Reed takes her back upstairs and returns to interrogate the sisters about the miracle. He offers to show them God by proving they can come back after death. Barnes, however, begins to dismantle his claims. She reveals she had a near-death experience as a child in Taco Bell. She describes how her mind conjured visions during her surgery, similar to what the girl in robe recounted. She accuses Reed of keeping the woman near death to extract answers to his philosophical questions, calling his miracle a fraud. Barnes turns Reed's focus away from Paxton and prepares to say the code word to launch their attack. But just as she utters magic underwear, Reed slashes her throat. Barnes collapses, and Paxton is left in shock. Reed tries to reassure her, insisting Barnes will come back to life. When Barnes doesn't resurrect, he shifts his theory as he extracts a chip from her arm and says, "That's the reason she has not come back." Paxton quickly corrects him. "It's not a microchip, it's a contraceptive implant." Paxton accuses Reed of improvising his philosophy whenever his claims fail. She points out that the robe girl's dying words, "It's not real," were a warning. She theorizes that Reed switched the original robe girl with another woman to stage the miracle, and she broke character to reveal the truth. Mr. Reed reveals a secret hatch leading further underground, inviting Paxton to uncover the one true religion. At the end of the tunnel, she finds the first robe girl's dead body, proving her earlier suspicion. Paxton presses on and finds herself in a chilling chamber where women, presumably previous victims, are kept in cages. Reed appears, confident and unshaken, declaring his victory. Paxton confronts him, accusing him of orchestrating every step of the night, from choosing which sister would live to planting the key in her jacket. She declares that his obsession with control is the one true religion. Reed agrees, affirming that religion is control. He claims the women in the cages choose to stay there, that the first robe girl chose to eat the poisoned pie out of faith. Every act of submission, a testament to his twisted philosophy. When Paxton asks why he does this, Reed counters with, "Why do you let me?" Without hesitation, she stabs Reed in the throat with her letter opener. Paxton desperately flees through the house, but every door leads her back to the basement. As she turns, Reed, still alive despite his wound, stabs her in the stomach. Both collapse onto the floor, bleeding and weak. Reed mocks her, urging her to pray. As she prays, Reed, clutching a knife, crawls toward her. Just as he moves in for the final blow, Barnes strikes Reed with the wooden plank embedded with nails, saving Paxton but collapsing and dying in front of her. Paxton rushes upstairs and discovers a replica of the house on Reed's desk, which she uses to locate a hidden exit, a window. Paxton escapes through the window and finds herself in the snow-covered backyard. The garden is serene, with long grass and flowers blanketed in white, resembling clouds. She collapses to her knees and notices a butterfly resting on her hand, a callback to her earlier comment about signaling loved ones from the beyond. However, in the next shot, the butterfly is gone. Paxton looks up, her expression is uncertain, and the film concludes. The ending leaves lingering questions. Was the butterfly a sign from a loved one, or something else entirely? Did Paxton truly escape, or was her journey a hallucination as she succumbed to death in the basement? Paxton sees the butterfly, which may symbolize her friend's spirit letting her know she's still there. Though the butterfly vanishes, it could be a fleeting connection to the beyond. In this interpretation, Paxton survives, calls the police, and rescues the women trapped in the cages. Or, Paxton dies in the basement from her injuries or Reed's attack. Everything after Barnes's intervention is a dying hallucination, a manifestation of Paxton's brain shutting down, echoing earlier discussions about near-death experiences. In this version, Barnes's resurrection, Paxton's escape, and the butterfly are all fabricated by her subconscious as she dies, with the butterfly representing Paxton's own imagined farewell to her loved ones. So, tell me in the comments which ending do you think can be the actual ending. If you still haven't subscribed to the channel, then kindly subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon. See you in the next video. Till then, take care.